Okay, hi everyone. So I'm Smithy Q, and we're back now with our next installment in opening principles and opening traps, where we're going to try and use our knowledge of opening principles to really understand these opening traps and learn the ideas and concepts behind them so we can apply that in our own games. And this is now our third time that we've been looking at this knight g5 line, and today we're going to look at bishop c5, the Traxler. Arguably, this is the most principled way to challenge the knight g5 line. White is wasting time, right? White is focusing on attacking. White is focusing on winning material, cashing on f7 as fast as possible. And how does black respond? Just pure development. And so this entire series, I'm trying to explain why these variations are working. And it's really simple. White is going to waste a lot of time to attack f7. Black is going to use his lead in time to try and counterattack. So conceptually, this is very simple, but the variations are quite complex. I'm just going to touch on this just a little bit, just to give you a flavor. There's lots of videos that go into these variations in depth, but let's just get an idea of what's happening. Now, the first thing, this move really does challenge white. For example, if white were to chicken out and not accept the challenge and simply to castle, well, now black's going to castle. Look, the rook is protecting f7. White's entire idea with knight g5 has completely failed. Let's look at something like d3, h6 here. And if I were to just show on the stats, you can see here that it's pretty abysmal. Black is already winning more, much more than white. And I think it's pretty simple to see, for example, if we were to bring this all the way back, it looks like a regular Italian game, but where black has been given a whole two free tempi. And so it makes sense that black does better. So it's not so much a question of does white take or not. White is definitely going to have to accept the challenge on f7. The question is which piece. Knight takes f2 is certainly the one that he would want to take with. It's a fork. And in all the variations that follow, it's a very simple guiding thought process for black. No retreat, no surrender. Just throw your pieces at the white king. And that's how you find all the moves. Boom, knight takes f2. Let's look at king takes f2. Knight takes e4 with check, and now the queen's able to slide in. And we can see here, giving up a piece, but the white king is in trouble. Black's got fast development. Often is going to play some combination of this. And if white doesn't take the rook can slide over and use the open f-file as well. And so this is black's entire strategy. It's pure tactics, attacking f2. And of course, the first thing, well, we got this mate threat in f2. What do? Let's look at g3. But again, no retreat, no surrender. You're going to take. Let's say white is going to take on the knight. Boom, knight comes into d4. And I want to pause here for a second. Black has played all the right moves up until here so far. And if you look at a lot of resources on the internet about this opening, the Traxler, they're going to give you this false sense that if white takes the bishop on f2 or does this whole knight takes f7, white's just lost. That's not true. Not true in the slightest. You can play everything perfectly as black and get something like this. Where after h takes g3 and then queen takes g3, we can see like the white king is completely devoid of defenders. But the problem is black is down a rook, a bishop, and a knight, only attacking with two things. And there's actually not enough to force a checkmate here. The best that we've got is just this. The king and queen are going to do this little dance back and forth, and it's just a perpetual check. And so the Traxler can be a lot of fun, but you do have to understand there are a lot of perpetual checks like this in the whole knight takes f7 line. Let's back up. So that is an example of how things can go right for black, but only lead to a draw. He ran out of pieces in the attack, essentially. He sacrificed them all, and there wasn't enough to give mate. Let's look at this other idea, where after bishop takes f2, king goes to f1. Our queen's attack now, we had to move it. He's going to take. So let's look at a variation now where black's attack is successful. because it's going to be the exact same ideas. Here we go. D5, no retreat, no surrender. This lets our bishop come on out. Let's say white takes. That's fine. We're going to jump in, knight to d4. How many times in this series have we seen this knight jump in and trying to create tactical threats, trying to take advantage of the tactical weaknesses in white's position? Normally the response is c3. That's the move we want to make time and time again. But it doesn't work here. And a big reason for this is that when white plays these lines with knight g5 and white is going in with knight takes f7, at this point, we're no longer in a principled position. We're in a concrete position. We need to simply calculate everything. And this move, through pure calculation, doesn't work. Let's take a look. Bishop g4. Uh-oh, queen's attacked, barely has any squares to retreat to. What do? We throw in a check. That's fine. We're going to retreat with knight d7. This completely opens everything up for the queen. Let's say white is still greedy. We're going to take that knight. Why not? Queen goes to f6. And we can see the problem. The king is wide open, but this time black has 3 attackers coming in. White has absolutely no defenders. Let's just, white still is greedy. Queen goes to f4. We're going to move this bishop, and it's going to be discovered checkmate. For example, bishop b5, trying to offer the queen's trade. No, thank you. Bishop goes to d4, and then that's checkmate. So did you see where things went right for black? Is he had enough pieces to finish the attack. Where things go wrong, so to speak, or where, well, obviously if the attack didn't work at all, I'm not going to show you those variations, or where enough pieces get exchanged or sacrificed that you merely get the draw. Now that's kind of the fun variation, so to speak. What about taking with the bishop? King goes to e7. And now this is actually, I actually don't know what the best move in here, or what the best reply is from white. I have seen some people say that bishop d5 is the best. I've seen some people say bishop c4. I've seen some people say all the way back to bishop b3. There's a long list of analysis. I mean long, going to move 20, move 30. A lot of it heavily computer driven. And all that is fine. But again, I'm not trying to say that to deride this or what have you. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's to highlight how at this point, deep, hard calculation is what's going to guide you as white, not opening principles. Whereas for black, its calculation is still required, but the guiding thought is still the same. No retreat, no surrender, go forward, use your advantage in time, and attack. And what's really interesting is after bishop to d5, I've always thought this is probably the best move because the bishop is controlling this square and the bishop is physically stopping d5. Like, for example, if the bishop were to go anywhere else, let's just say, black has the option of playing d5. He can physically put the pawn there. If the bishop is on d5, as black, you can never do that, right? So this is why, intuitively, I would always thought this move is the best. Nevertheless, after queen goes to e8, the idea here is the queen's going to slide on over. He's got this diagonal, similar to the Dutch defense. And again, we're going to use our lead in time. We're going to attack. What's really interesting is in this position, white's got an advantage, says the computer. The most common move is castle. Black's going to play d6. Most common move is c3. Black plays bishop g4. And you know what happened? The game is completely equal. Why? It's because black's lead in time, it's growing. White played c3, non-developing move, and now black has got complete minor piece development. Again, h-file is open, the queen is able to slide on out, and there's a lot of pressure against white's entire king side. And what's really interesting, most common move in this position, queen goes to b3. Computer now says black is doing much better after h6, as in almost a winning advantage. But if I were to show you the stats, it's all over the place, and it's actually 50-50. So is one side better or is one side worse? I don't even think that makes any sense anymore. It's simply a game, and it shows how challenging this is. But I think this also can reassure you that if you play this and you're the stronger player, you're probably going to win, especially if you thrive in these hard, complicated calculation-driven positions. Now that said, there's one move that if I were to see this as white that I'd be very interested in playing, which is, let me just sort of hide the stats first. D4. Delaying the capture on F7. Because, let's say black takes. Now after knight takes F7, oh look, there's no bishop F2 anymore. Because the pawn's in the way. And that is really slowing down black's counterattack, and maybe we can even castle, and maybe we'll be fine. What's interesting is bishop takes d4. It looks like it makes a lot of sense. It still has bishop takes f2, but the computer says knight takes f7 is now completely winning for white. And the best move for black is this counterattack with d5. And again, it's... just look at this. We got this strange mirrored position going on. There's so much tension. Anything can take anything. And again, here's where the opening principles are really flying out the window. So long, see you later. It's down to pure hard calculation. I'm not going to try and claim that white is better, that black's better. You just need to do a deep dive analysis. But hopefully we can understand the themes that are going on in here. It's a really complicated position. White is often walking a tightrope, and for black, it's simply use that lead in time. No retreat, no surrender, always jumping forward. That's the Traxler Counter Gambit in a nutshell. A lot of fun, especially in Online Blitz. It's worth looking at some of the other videos that you'll find online to really get a sense of the various black traps, but it's certainly fascinating chess. And I'm happy that it exists. Other than that, I think that's it. Now, next time, we're actually going to look at the main fried liver, the true fried liver, if you will. Perhaps the most infamous opening in chess, starting with this knight takes f7. I'll have that out in a few days. Otherwise, you can do the standard YouTube things. That helps the channel a lot. Thank you very much. Otherwise, that'll be it for me. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.